Test, test, test. Here we go.
You're listening to the Ranked Podcast, where your hosts, Nick Norris, Aaron Patterson, and Justin Knight, are on the hunt for the most iconic year in sports history.
It's 1980. People love the 80s. They're like, I love the 80s. Optimus Prime and Ninja Turtles and Terminator. Take me back.
I've never heard one person say that specific sentence ever.
Oh, really? Hey, 80s were a great time.
Yeah, Justin was there. He remembers.
Yeah.
What was your favorite memory from the 80s, Justin?
Well, I would have been 25.
Young man.
25.
So we established last week, you're 36 in 1991. So.
I'd probably say the Royals winning the World Series. I think they won in 85.
I mean, it's been a long time, so it's okay if you made a small mistake and forgot.
I mean, they won in 2015 as well, but they won their first one in 85, I think.
Do you think, though, that we're going to look back kind of with that same sort of lens on the 2000s? Like, what are we going to look back on? We didn't really have any kind of iconic stuff like the 80s, I feel like. Like, think about all the big 80s movies. You had, like, Ghostbusters and probably...
Yeah.
What else came out in the 80s?
I mean, a lot of good music from the 80s.
Yeah. Like, what movies did we have? We had, like, the one where John Travolta was a dog. Was that Bolt?
We have Shrek.
We had Shrek. That was a big one.
Yeah, Shrek is a big one now.
That was great.
Gotta give credit where credit is due.
Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat, yeah.
That's another good one.
What was our version of, like, Dungeons and Dragons? I mean, I guess it's Xbox. I don't...
Yeah.
Ark.
I feel like the 2000s was just parents being depressed over 9/11 and war and economic collapse. And where it's all like, I guess we'll go play in our room. Go play PlayStation. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of the Ranked Podcast.
What a turn.
Well, let me paint you a picture, guys, of the year 1980. Let's look at what was going on. Jimmy Carter, he's president, at least for most of 1980. China's population hits 1 billion for the first time. Apple hits the stock market for the first time. Pink Floyd's The Wall hits number 1. A bullet hits John Lennon. And John Wayne Gacy gets the death penalty for being a serial killer clown.
Oh.
Also, shoulder pads and hair crimping. It's all over the place. You can't ignore it. It's everywhere. Speaking of sports, though, we had 2 sports movies released that year. Tell me if either of you have seen either of these. We had the Raging Bull, and we had Caddyshack.
Caddyshack's a classic.
I've seen Caddyshack. I don't think I've seen Raging Bull.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Raging Bull. Isn't what's his name in it? Robert De Niro.
Maybe. It's
possible. It's a good possibility.
Yeah. Somebody had to have been in it, so sure.
I mean, hey, you don't have to patronize me, okay?
That's what I'm best at. Well, let's get into the meat of this year then. Let's see how this one holds up against what have we done so far, 2016 and 1991. So I'll start us off here in January. This is a big moment. On January 20th, President Jimmy Carter announces a U.S. boycott of the Olympics in Moscow because Russia were the bad guys in the 80s. They're kind of the bad guys again, aren't they? Maybe.
Hey, don't say that too loud. They're going to come after you.
I'd rather if they didn't. On that same day, Pittsburgh Steelers beat the LA Rams to win Super Bowl, whatever year that was. And Terry Bradshaw was the quarterback.
Pretty sure that's 15.
Is that 15? No, 14.
No, what is
Super Bowl
that?
14.
14.
That's 14, yeah.
I'm not good with Roman numerals. And 9
I don't
days.
think you're good with numbers in general.
I'm really not good with much at all.
It's supposed to be quite simple.
On January 29th, the Cavs beat the Lakers 154-153 in quadruple overtime. So
that's a normal game nowadays.
Yeah. Well, what you got for us for February? Justin.
Okay, so February 3rd. Is this Larry with two A's? Larry?
That'd be a typo. Yeah.
Okay.
Larry.
All right, Larry Holmes. He TKOs Lorenzo Holmes. I guess are they related? I mean, I don't really know these guys. And 6 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title.
I think that Larry was
that's-
Lorenzo's mom, if I remember correctly. So that makes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So on that same day, you had the 30th NBA All-Star Game. East beat the West, 144 to 136. So some famous players. You had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing in the West. Magic Johnson. You had, let's see, for the East, you had Moses Malone and Larry Bird, Julius Erving.
Some big names.
So those are some well-known players. Yeah. So I can see why the East won. I'd say they probably had a better team. Let's see. February 17th, Buddy Baker. He won the 22nd Daytona 500.
Another big name.
Congratulations to Buddy.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on your win 40 years ago. To this.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Well, I mean, he might be listening to this.
I would bet that he was.
might.
Yeah. If he's alive, which he probably
might.
is.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. February 19th, Washington beat Montreal 3-1 to end the Canadiens' 34-game unbeaten streak against Capitals. The Caps 32-2 against Montreal since entering NHL in 1974. Yikes.
Oof.
Is that still the same record as today? So they don't have one win against
No,
them?
I think that was up to that point. Yeah. So
Okay.
maybe. Yeah,
Oof,
and that
that
was the
sucks.
streak up until that game.
Mm.
It's a long time.
And then February 22nd. So one of the biggest sports moments in American history. You want to guess what it is?
Would this be when Shaq did the movie Still?
Yes.
Great.
Spot on. That was fantastic. Actually, no. I wish it was, but it's not. It's the Miracle on Ice. So the U.S. hockey team beat the heavily favored Soviet Union 4-3 at, what is this, Lake Placid, and one of the biggest upsets in Olympic history. So, of course, this was huge because you saw the Cold War going on. So it doesn't get a bigger matchup than this in a Olympic final.
Plus, like we said earlier, Americans were skipping out.
This was
all the
actually
Olympics, so this was like
Yeah,
kind of
this
the last
was-
chance for these two to face each other.
And this was a semifinal game, right?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the final. I can't remember if it
Yeah.
was a semifinal or right before that.
I think it was semifinal
Yeah.
because then they beat somebody else in the final, because they ended up winning gold.
Right.
So yeah, that was probably when you think of Olympics, one of the biggest moments. You probably got to think about that.
It's probably one of the biggest sports moments of all time, if not the biggest American
Yeah.
sports moment of all time. This is something that people still
Yeah.
talk about. I mean, there's movies about it, and
Yeah, I mean when you just think about because the Soviet Union, dominated. I would think they'd probably dominate hockey, and they probably did for a pretty good while. And even to this day, they're still very good. So yeah, and especially with everything going on, that was, you ain't going to see a bigger win than that.
yeah, no, the Soviet Union was expected to win this, and yeah, so that was crazy. I mean, people still talk about it. You can go and they play this like on cable pretty often. Like it's a big deal. You don't really see that for a game 40 years ago. Still play on cable pretty often. But pretty cool. That's a huge moment that we're definitely gonna have to factor in when ranking this year. Aaron, what do you have for us starting in April here?
The 44th Masters.
Okay.
It was won by 23-year-old Spaniard Seve Ballesteros. I'm sure I said that.
you're not too
100%
bad.
You
accurate.
sound like a bit of a Spaniard yourself. You got the the
I
pronunciation
do what I
down
can.
pat, so that's great.
I got the audios at the end of every episode.
Yeah,
so.
you do. Yeah.
He wins his first Masters. He was 4 strokes ahead of Jack Newton and what I'm probably going to name my child, Gibby Gilbert.
It's a good name.
Because I honestly can't think of a better name.
No.
Speaking of, what is Gibby from? iCarly or something?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is that from the 2000s? Does
Yes.
that go back to your
Yeah.
original?
Will.
There you
Uh-huh.
go. I know something from this day since I'm now.
Speaking of the 2000s.
I'm not going to do that math. Probably 50 something.
Speaking of the 2000s, quick plug for next week. I think next week we're going to do the year 2003, which may or may
Hey.
not be one of the most cursed years in sports history. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So come back next week for that episode.
So I'm going to go ahead and rank it a 95.
Oh my gosh.
On April 25th, A's manager Billy Martin was restrained by umpires for attacking a fan.
That's great. Yeah.
That was pretty. Yeah, I would love to see actual footage of that because I don't think I have.
Yeah, no,
I do. I think I'm gonna go.
I've
look that
never
up.
watched it either. This is something I just kind of saw, and it wasn't like really. It was just kind of like a footnote when I was kind of researching for this episode, and I was like, I'm putting this in just to look it up later. That's
That's some of the best things to watch. Is just like complications of coaches just getting absolutely crazy. And like who's the basketball coach who like threw the chair across the court.
Oh, Bob Knight.
Just the baseball coach stealing the base. Just all those.
Yeah,
all
and that
legendary.
was, I think that baseball coach, he was minor league for like the Braves, Oregon. It was like the Mississippi Braves or something.
and
Yeah, well, I just
freaked out.
love watching
and for
those.
us, you know, we're all kind of spread out across the Birmingham Central expanded area, but you know, in Jasper, when it was, you know, when Walker High School was Walker High School, they of course had the big brawl. Who was that? But what teams was that between, Aaron? Do you remember?
Walker and Coleman. It's a big rivalry, and at the end of the game, one of the coaches punched the other coach. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, like a whole team fight broke out. Like the coaches were fired. It was like a national
It
headline.
was awesome.
Yeah. So.
It was awesome. May 16th, we had a wild NBA Finals between the Lakers and the 76ers. Trailing 3-2, and now in Game 6, Magic Johnson started at center, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was out with a sprained ankle from the last game, but Magic finished with 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block, and the Lakers would go on to win
This
the
is
series.
Magic Johnson's like
Very
peak
nice.
night. I mean, this is when people talk about Magic Johnson, this is kind of the day they go to this game. It was so crucial. Obviously, you had the finals on the line. Your main guy is out, so you just slide Magic Johnson into that spot at center. And just talking about, you know, for the Lakers, which is the biggest franchise in NBA history, and then of course one of their biggest players ever, Magic Johnson. That's a pretty iconic moment too. So it's going to be a big one to factor in at the end also.
But regardless, Larry Bird beats him out for the NBA Rookie of the Year.
I mean, if somebody's going to beat him out, I guess Larry Bird makes sense. So, well, for June 3rd, the New York Mets draft Darryl Strawberry. That's another big name there. Of course, he's from Simpsons fame. If you've ever watched the episode where Homer puts together a baseball team, I think he gets like toxic radiation poisoning and his head grows like normal size. Amazing. But of course, you know, huge prolific ball player. Then of course we had boxer Roberto Duran takes WBC welterweight title from Sugar Ray Leonard at Olympic Stadium in Montreal by unanimous points decision on June 20th. And just a few months later, on October 2nd, 38-year-old Muhammad Ali comes out of 2-year retirement to challenge the undefeated world heavyweight champion Larry Holmes at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. Ali pounded unmercifully for 10 rounds before corner throws in the towel.
Oh my goodness.
Which that was also just a huge moment for him to come in out of retirement, challenge this, Larry Holmes and just whoop on him. So big stuff so far. Justin, what you got to close out the year for us?
Okay, so November 15th, the probably the most well-known racer of all time, Dale Earnhardt, wins the NASCAR Cup for that year. So the whole Cup, I guess the Sprint Cup for that season. So he was the NASCAR champion.
They gave him the whole cup at the end.
The whole cup, not half a cup.
They usually divide it up amongst the racers and give them each
No.
a slice. They got...
Not a quarter cup, the whole cup.
Yeah. Good on him.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, great for him.
Yeah.
November 25th, Sugar Ray Leonard. He regains the WBC welterweight boxing crown when Roberto Duran, is it Duran or Duran? I don't know. Quits in the 8th round of infamous No Mas fight at the Superdome, New Orleans.
He got that back. Got that back pretty quickly. So he lost it at the beginning of the year, and then got it back pretty quick.
So good. Yeah,
you don't always see rematches that close within the same year.
Not anymore. Everybody, they delay it now.
Yeah.
So November 29th, the 45th Iron Bowl, Alabama would win that one against Auburn, 34-18. December 1st.
Back when it was still at in Legion Field as well.
Yep, Legion Field.
In the 80s. Yeah.
Yep. December 1st, you had the 46th Heisman Trophy Award. George Rogers, no idea who that is, but he was a South Carolinian running back, so great. And then what all Georgia fans talk about, the 1980 National Championship. So that's when they had their well-known running back, Herschel Walker, who ended the season with 1,616 rushing yards on 274 carries and 15 touchdowns. So, of course, this season, they brought up their jerseys, too. They had those special jerseys for that season as well. So good for them.
Good for them, I say, yeah. And you mentioned not knowing George Rogers from South Carolina, and that's, it kind of is ironic because he's who kind of stole the Heisman that year from Herschel Walker because they wasn't going to give it to a freshman back then, right? So he had a more impressive resume, but they said, just give it to this older guy.
Yeah, give it to George
nobody
Rogers.
Remembers him. So
yeah.
Yeah, good on him. I'm sure he remembers his time there. I mean, maybe not. Herschel Walker claims he doesn't remember much of his, so maybe he doesn't either. We had a big sports scandal in 1980 as well. We had Rosie Ruse's Boston Marathon scandal. Rosie at first seemed to be the clear victor of the Boston Marathon, and not by a little amount. She was way ahead of the pack. Yet later witnesses and different testimonies came forward, and finally her admittance clarified it as well, that she had in fact not run the course and instead taken a gigantic shortcut to finish the race. Though this obviously wasn't a big sporting event compared to some others that year, it still kind of shocked the sporting world that this could have gone just like unnoticed, and it wasn't hard for her to do. She just kind of cut out, took a different path, and jumped back in right before the finale, which is just insane.
How'd they end up finding out? Did she come out and say that she cheated?
Yeah, so some people, there's obviously some witnesses, and they kind of started speaking to the news. Yeah, that's my thing is,
how did she think no one would see?
Yeah, no one would see.
I think she thought, I think this is a thing that she didn't think she'd get away with it. She was like, I'll just try and we'll see what happens. And so people started coming out and talking about it. And then after a while, she was just like, yeah, I did it, whatever. So it's pretty great. Pretty good stuff. Aaron, I believe you've got some interesting records and stats maybe for us from this year. Is that right?
That depends how nicely you ask me.
Aaron, if it's not too much trouble, would you mind sharing with everyone? Sure. Okay, great.
I'm going to go through these really quick because there's quite a few stats, and I've got two technically records, I guess.
Okay.
But on February 8th, Rick Barry of Houston, small forward, he became the first in the NBA to score 8 three-pointers in a game.
Nice.
Future Hockey Hall of Famer Gordie Howe scores in the third period to become the first NHL player to score 800 career goals as Hartford Whalers beat the St. Louis Blues 3-0.
It's more than I've got, so good on him.
I reckon on April 2nd, when Gretzky scores for the Edmonton in a 1-1 tie with the Minnesota North Stars to become the youngest player to reach 50 goals at 19 years and 2 months of age. And on the same day, Montreal's right wing Guy Lafleur scores twice to become the first player in NHL history to record 6 straight 50-goal seasons as the Canadiens beat the Red Wings 7-2 at Detroit.
We got a lot of firsts this year.
Yeah, and a lot of hockey too.
Yeah.
The Giants' first baseman Willie McCovey hits his 521st and final home run. That's depressing. I don't know why he had to add that.
Yeah.
Pete Rose was 39 and still second, third, and home in one inning for the Phillies, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I also just want to take a moment and apologize for my audio for the entirety of this podcast. I've got to find a chair that does not squeak. So if you've been hearing that the whole time, that's what that is.
I thought that was in your throat this whole time. That's great to clear up.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's just my chair. This sounds horrible. June 1st, Steve Garvey hits the 7,000. I was about to be really impressed. No, he hits the 7,000th home run for the Brooklyn/LA Dodgers. And that's all of that I have, but I got 2 other records, I guess you'd say, and that would be the first solo summit of Mount Everest was in 1990 by Reinhold Messner, I believe is how you say it, who's Italian. He achieved the first solo summit of Mount Everest on August 20th. It takes him 3 days to make the ascent from 21,325 feet. A climb made all the more difficult by the fact he did it without any bottled oxygen.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Is that something that
Yeah,
either
that
of you
is-
have any interest in doing? Would you like to say that you've climbed Mount Everest?
I mean, it would be pretty awesome to say. I will say that, but I don't know. I think it'd be a pretty cool experience, but I don't know if I mean, you got to be in great shape
Yeah.
to be able to do something like that.
I just don't think I have any interest
so I
in
don't
it.
know.
I always thought it would be cool until I learned that there's like a part of the mountain that's just full of dead bodies of people who've attempted.
That's true. Yeah, it's just littered with dead people.
Well, it's called
Terrifying.
something. It has a name.
It's called Dead People
Yeah.
Mountain, I think. That's what it's-
It's something generic, but I don't think it's like Death
Okay.
Valley or anything like that.
Okay.
It's something like that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Someone look that up.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, look it up while I'm reading this. So this is pretty wild that I had no clue happened, and probably a lot of people don't because I guess it's not that big of a deal now. I didn't check the current records, but most swimming fans, it's a little article, so I'm just going to read the whole thing. Most swimming fans consider it a historic honor to witness in person. Never mind, I'm not reading that part. In one day, April 10th, 1986, American swimmers set 7 world records in the 50-meter freestyle in an explosion of speed unlike anything before it. So in one day, there was 7 records
Wow. That's impressive.
set by 6 people.
That's pretty big too. That's
Because
crazy.
it was a
one day.
It was a relatively new event for the Olympics.
So
they added the 50-meter, whatever it was, 50-meter freestyle.
Well, I've got the answer here to
Pretty wild.
the Mount Everest question you said. So the area above 8,000 meters is called the Death Zone and is also known as Everest Graveyard. So that's yeah. I'm going to butcher this name. Lakpa Sherpa said that she saw 7 dead bodies on her latest 2018 summit.
Oh my
One
gosh.
whose hair was still blowing in the wind.
I've heard there was a lot more. than
Ilya
that, but yeah.
Seleki recalls hundreds of people climbing over the body of a recently deceased climber. That is terrifying. Yeah, no good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not great.
Well, thank you, Aaron, for some of those.
Not great
records.
at
No,
all.
not even ideal. Some would say. But Justin, do you have some big birthdays and deaths that happened in 1980? Speaking of deaths.
All right. So in 1980, one of the most probably well-known Olympic athletes of all time, Jesse Owens, he died of lung cancer at the age of 66. I'm pretty sure it was either 1936 or 38 that he won gold in when they had the Olympics in Nazi Germany.
Alabama's
So
own,
that was
right?
one of
Isn't he
the-
from Alabama?
I think so. I'm not quite sure though. But yeah, that's one of the more well-known another big Olympic moment is when he won gold in Nazi Germany, and then some well-known people that were born 1980. I'm gonna try to say this name the best I can. Ronaldinho. He was born famous Brazilian soccer player. Soccer player Abby Wambach was born. Tennis star Venus Williams. She was born that year as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and say it. I didn't write what was written here, but NFL QB and dog fighter Michael Vick was born in 1980.
Jeez.
So, I didn't write that. I'm just.
I did. I wrote.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's.
I think we can call him that without
it's
slander.
not like it's a controversial thing. He was literally
So we can
convicted
say
of
that.
it.
It's like if you're convicted of murder. So we can. I mean, it's not like being a murder, but it's like you're able to say it once they're convicted. So, yeah, good on him. That's some big names. Jesse Owens,
great guy.
particularly.
Yeah.
Aaron, do you have some interesting inventions from the year 1980?
Inventions.
Yeah, not as interesting as I would have liked, but I'm going to go through them anyways. If I can get to the right page, here we go. It was the first year Rubik's Cubes were available to buy. Same with sticky notes. They were tested for a while as a funny name, which I do not have right now for some reason.
I mean, imagine sticky note. You think, well, I could come up with that. I mean, this guy's made, who knows how much he ended up making from sticky notes and still makes to this day.
Huge.
Just off of something simple
they were
as
called,
that.
Well, it should have had one other name, but I don't remember what it was. It was something to do with the shape of it being a square, but I don't remember what it was. But they were originally called in stores Press and Peel.
Oh.
Which I think is kind of weird because I don't feel like you really have to press on them to peel them. I think you just have to get under them.
Yeah.
Peel them up.
That's why they changed it. Yeah.
Yep. So now they're known as sticky notes.
Yeah, sticky notes flows better too.
Yeah, it does.
It was the first year for the Sony Walkman. It was released in the UK and the US. That's Big League Chew.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Big League Chew is big for sports. I'd count that into the sports factor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the most relevant to the show. The infamous McChicken.
The McChicken. Y'all like a McChicken? Y'all fans?
No.
I don't think I've ever had a McChicken.
I'm not big on them. They're okay.
Hey, you know what? I tell you what I found out today, which I didn't really realize this. Y'all know when Chick-fil-A was first opened?
No.
1946.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
It's really old because they didn't serve chicken at first. It used to be a diner.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's older than McDonald's.
Wow, I did not know that.
They didn't.
I would have guessed
they didn't
like
serve chicken
an 80s
for like
thing.
I don't know, like 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Well, that's pretty
They
cool.
first started serving the Chick-fil-A sandwich in 1964.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that old.
Where's your favorite chicken sandwich at? In the chicken sandwich wars.
Chick-fil-A. Easily.
I still quite like the Popeyes, but I think the Chick-fil-A is more consistently good. I think the Popeye sandwiches are a bit hit and miss. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chick-fil-A too. And I think I've tried KFC's. I think I've tried everywhere's now.
Now,
did you know
Zach...
Buffalo Wild Wings has a new one?
Oh,
no. I didn't.
It's awful.
I'm not surprised.
And it's the most expensive one.
Well, Buffalo Wild Wings, if you want to sponsor us, we'll change our mind on that. But for now, we're not a fan of your work, at least in the chicken sandwich war.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this episode up with our weekly weird news from the year we covered.
I didn't get to say Pac-Man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pac-Man, that's huge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is huge.
That's why I saved
huge
it.
for video
and
games.
I was rudely interrupted.
I'm sorry. My mistake. And, I mean, if you're talking about, if you consider esports a sport, then that's huge for that branch of gaming or as sports as well. So, pretty cool. I love Pac-Man. Love me some Pac-Man. But to wrap us up for the weird news of the week, in 1980 we had a story that was dubbed Leonardo da Toenail.
Oh my gosh.
This happened in March of 1980, and I'll just read you the synopsis here I have of the story. Multiple female students at Southern California University complained that someone had quietly and sneakily painted their toenails as they were studying in the library. Police dubbed the perpetrator.
Okay, if they're in the library, then I say it's fine. They should be more aware.
Yeah, how in the world do you let that happen? Yeah.
Well, they could have been, into a book, just really involved and not notice.
I don't think anyone is into a book that much.
Yeah.
Unless you're just, completely off the rail, you're just high as can be. I mean, how do you not? Someone's painting on your toes.
Well, it was 1980. We can't rule that out.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Police dubbed the perpetrator Leonardo da Toenail. A man was eventually apprehended carrying 15 bottles of fingernail polish, but they had to let him go because they didn't catch him in the act. Unable
and
to.
You can't, what are you gonna book him on? Painting somebody's toe? I mean, what is that? What are you gonna book him on?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well,
Invasion of privacy?
He probably wasn't allowed to touch them at all. So I'm not doubting that there's something there.
Yeah.
Unable to stop himself, though, the same guy was caught painting women's toenails again the following year, and this time was ordered to a hearing at the city attorney's office, but he never showed and was never seen again.
Oh my gosh.
He got away with it.
What?
The perfect crime. Yeah.
So this
He
is
was
almost
never
like
seen again.
Yeah.
All he had to do was move states. I mean, no one's gonna go after this guy.
no.
But if he got caught once and then went for the second time, he's absolutely painted someone's toenails again.
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't just stop that.
He's probably been doing it for 40 years now. Yeah. He's probably still doing this to this day.
Weird. There's some lady on the internet somewhere that has a blog that's been writing about it. No one's looking into my case or anything. She just doesn't know about this from 1980.
Yeah.
And she just thinks no one believes her. And this psycho's just out there doing it.
Well, tune in to our upcoming spin-off podcast, True Crime, the story of the toenail painter. So we'll be doing that.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this.
But guys, I think that wraps up the show, which means it's time for us to rank 1980. If you'll give me a second, I'll pull up what we've ranked so far. So far, 2016 is leading the way. We bumped up their ranking last week because we were afraid we wouldn't find anything for a while as high as it. But I think this might be even bigger. So we gave 2016 a 91. We gave 1991 a 72. This is certainly bigger than 1991, right? I mean, some big stuff happened this year. We had the Miracle on Ice. We had a ton of boxing stuff. We had a ton of records broken. We had Magic Johnson's night. I mean, we've already listed it. We'll not have to keep going. But would you put this above 2016, do you think?
No.
I'm gonna give it a 92.
I was gonna say a 93. I think it's slightly above 2016 in my opinion. What are you gonna give it?
Gosh.
There, Aaron.
I would have gone with a low 80s.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, that's still 10 above our last one, so I feel like that's it's reasonable.
I'm putting a lot of weight on the Miracle on Ice too. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I feel like you're putting too much weight, is my opinion.
Maybe so. Well, that's why we got.
It was
3.
one instance.
It's good. It's good that we to disagree. We don't need to agree on every single one of them. So throw us out a number, Aaron. We'll do the average as we always do.
I would have gone an 84.
84, 93, and a 92. What's that average? We don't.
That is a 89.6, so a
90. So it is one behind 2016. 2016 is still the leader for now. So by one.
For now.
Well, great. That was a good year. So next year we'll come back. We're going to do 2003. Britney Spears will be huge, probably. What else?
Oh,
We'll talk
I
about
guess.
it. So come.
That's body shaming, Nicholas.
No, not physically huge. She was quite slender from memory, but good on her. Well, all right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week.
Adios.
See you later.
Test, test, test. Here we go.
You've been listening to Ranked, the most iconic year in sports history. Please remember to like and subscribe.